So in the last video, we introduced a model that using two just plain vanilla supply and demand diagrams, we can model how a world market and a national market interact and how much of a good will be traded back and forth. And we modeled that for an importing nation, a nation that would import a good. So in this video, we're going to do the exact same thing just to give you a little bit more practice, only we're going to do it for a nation that is going to be exporting that good. So I'll show you what the diagram will look like if the nation is going to be an exporter. So I'm just going to draw these. It's going to look like I'm drawing this supply and demand line completely arbitrarily, but I actually am drawing them with kind of a purpose here. So we'll say that this is, sorry, I'm doing a lot of things in the wrong order. So this graph on the left is for the rest of the world. And let's say that this is the demand and the supply of oil. Okay, so we have the price of oil over here, and then we have the quantity demanded over here, or quantity over here, and in this case it would be the quantity demanded because this is the demand line. So let's now go ahead and say that the supply line for the rest of the world is going to go ahead and intersect the demand line right there. So then if we go to this point A right here, we have an equilibrium price right here, so we'll just label that P, and then we have, this is the quantity produced in the rest of the world. So now let's go over here to, let's say that this nation is the United Arab Emirates. So this is the market for oil in the United, and that's a UAE, the United Arab Emirates. So again, we're just going to have price and quantity here. And then let's go ahead and say that the demand for oil in the United Arab Emirates is relatively low. So it's down here. And then the supply of oil, let's just put it right here. And we will label this point A over here. And so if there is no trade, then this is how much oil will be consumed and produced. And this is the price, and I'm just going to write price with no trade. So this is all just simple supply and demand diagrams, really going back to kind of the first things that you learned in economics. And what changes now is if we open up this market to trade. So if we open up if we allow the United Arab Emirates to trade with the rest of the world, again, we're going to assume that the United Arab Emirates is a small nation, and all that that means is that their demand, their supply and demand won't affect the rest of the world. And I'm just going to put ROW. And another way of saying this, and this is the way that it's normally said, but I don't think it's quite as clear as this bullet point up here, is that the United Arab Emirates are just price takers. They cannot influence the price at all. So they have no influence on the price. They're that small. So if they have no influence on the price is going to stay exactly the same. So this will be point A, where A was before trade, and it will also be point B, where B is after trade. And so this will be the price in the rest of the world, both before and after. So I'll just kind of color over that. And so if we take this price over to the United Arab Emirates market, we're going to see something different than what we saw in the last video. So this is the price with trade. So what happens here is that we get, this is the quantity demanded, and that's a D, excuse me, I'll erase that, the quantity demanded. And then over here, this is the quantity supplied. So what happens in the United Arab Emirates when we open it up open up the oil market to trade. What happens is that oil gets more expensive because now the United Arab Emirates has to pay the world price for oil. So oil gets to be more expensive, gas gets to be more expensive than it was without trade, and the people in the United Arab Emirates actually end up using less gas. But the United Arab Emirates as a whole produces more gas, and they then run a trade surplus, or in other words, they are exporters, and the amount that they export is this distance right here. So they supply this much, they actually use this much, and the difference between these two, this distance right here, is the amount that the nation exports. So the United Arab Emirates would export, let's say that this was 200 and this was 100, or actually, you know what, let's just make this 75 just so that the numbers are a little bit more distinguished. Then the United Arab Emirates would export 200 minus 75, or 125 million barrels of oil, let's say. So if the world price, just to kind of reiterate and drive this point home one more time, so if the price for the world is greater than the price for the small nation, and that's an A, that's a small nation, then the nation will be, this means that the nation will export. And if it's the other way around, if the price of the world is lower than the price for the small nation, then it will import. And that was what we saw in the prior video. So then always the amount of the export or import is just the difference between the supply line and the demand line for the small nation at the world price. At the world price. So that's all that I really want to say in this video. I will absolutely make some examples so that you guys can get your hands on this and start to work on it on your own. But I think that that's really as much as needs to be said in kind of an introductory video.